Hello and welcome to the Friday show, everybody. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always by the best co-host in the business, Adam Mack. This is the walk-off. And before we get into all the baseball topics we're going to, and there are plenty of them, I just want to say we are now at episode 420 of the walk-off. So a few things. Number one, holy shit, dude.
Been a wild ride.
That's a lot of content, man.
That's a lot of content. That's a lot of
like when
content.
we started this almost 3 years ago, I had no idea it would get to this point where we were so consistent and making so much content. Like, we both started this just as a way to not go insane while we couldn't go out and perform stand-up during the pandemic. And
if
here
you
are.
had told me when we started this back in July of 2020 that we would be 3 years in and at 420 episodes, I would have said, we're still locked down?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So kudos to us for keeping it going when we didn't have
honestly, it is. I don't impress myself very often, but this is one I'm impressed on. And also, you know what? 420. I think it's pretty safe to say that we are the most left-handed cigarette friendly Jay's podcast that ranks consistently between 5 and 25 on the chartable rankings of Apple.
We're hitting that sweet spot. That's what we aimed for.
Right to that sweet spot, right?
That was part of the business plan when we first sat down. We said 3 years from now, if we're not the most left-handed cigarette friendly, mid 25 to 5 on the chartable charts, then we gotta call it quits. So, but here we are. So let's keep going.
Here we are.
We made it.
That's right. Episode 420, baby. Man.
Oh, so sorry. By the way, just while we're on the topic of 420 and us being so left-handed cigarette friendly, as someone who never smokes left-handed cigarettes, you're doing
That's true.
all of the heavy lifting.
Doing all the heavy lifting. Exactly. So the heaviest of lifting.
It is all on you. So very well done, sir. Very well done. But kudos to me for not being judgmental about it.
Yes, that's right.
Why would I be? It's totally fine.
No, you are the most open-minded co-host a guy could possibly want in his life. So fantastic. Big baseball news coming out last night. Honestly, like the first real trade of any significance happened. The Atlanta Braves bolstering that bullpen, getting Aaron Bummer out of the White Sox organization. Of course, Aaron Bummer, a very good back end of the bullpen guy. This is a high leverage dude. His numbers don't look near as good as he is. His FIP was excellent. His whiff rate is great strikeout rate. One of those dudes where he's just going to help that Atlanta Braves bullpen in high leverage situations. And I know that it seems like the Braves gave up a haul. Do you have that all pulled up there, Adam?
Yeah, so Braves sent Mike Soroka, Jared Schuster, Nicky Lopez, Braden Shumaki, and minor league right-handed pitcher Riley Gowans.
So it was 5 for 1, and it's for a reliever. And it would be like if the Jays traded Tim Meza and got that return, is sort of where it looks. Maybe not, maybe a little higher end than Meza, but right around that range.
You're really high on Aaron Bummer, eh?
I'm not really high on him, but I do think that he is going to be a very, very good reliever in that Braves bullpen.
And it's
Tim Meza. I'm high on Tim Meza.
No, I'm way higher on Tim Meza than Aaron Bummer. I think they're tiers apart.
That's fair.
We were talking a little bit before we went live, but you were indicating a lot of passionate fan response in the negative of this. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm looking at his numbers too, and I'm looking at a guy who was elite in 2019 and 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then has not been good since. So I'm wondering, like, what am I missing here? Because I hate to say this was just a sticky substance guy, but like the timing lines up. So where am I off on this, Scott? Because Mike Soroka alone seems like an overpay. Never mind the other prospects attached.
The biggest reason that so many of these dudes were shipped out from the Atlanta Braves is the 40-man roster. The Rule 5 draft kind of pushed their hand a little bit here. And if you kind of look at the guys, it's all these mid-range prospects that are just going to take up a spot where the Braves need room. So I think rather than lose these guys on the waiver wire, which is what would have happened, they packaged them all together for a reliever they believed they could fix.
Well, he needs fixing. Last year he had a negative WAR, -1, 6.79 ERA, and a WHIP of 1.5. Is it? Maybe he doesn't need to be fixed, and maybe the White Sox are just dysfunctional, and guys stop caring.
That may be part of it. That truly could be part of it. Is the White Sox organization does seem like it has some work to do when it comes to clubhouse culture and the stuff going on there. I mean, honestly, since La Russa, it's been kind of a mess in White Sox Nation there.
I guess if I'm looking at the highlights of Aaron Bummer, strikeouts per 9 is impressive. 12 strikeouts per 9 last year. Home runs per 9, 0.6. That's also good. Walks per 9 was killing him. 5.6 walks per 9. So that's a big part of his whip being so inflated.
Yes.
Right? You did mention that the FIP, that's what, fielder independent pitching?
So you read it like ERA, but it's basically
just the outcomes of like stuff that a fielder doesn't.
Yes.
Right. So home runs, walks, and strikeouts are the big thing. So with an ERA of 6.8 and a FIP of 3.6, I mean, that's a major discrepancy of 3.2.
Yeah,
it does go to show that
like a lot of bad luck went into. And when you got a guy who can strike out as many per 9 as Bummer, and the Braves are just a much better team, man. So,
well, I'll say kudos to the White Sox for getting Mike Soroka and a bunch of like dudes, which I don't know if they're any good or not, but these are guys that were worried about losing in the Rule 5 draft. They can't be that bad. So I'd say this is a win-win. Maybe
Mike Soroka. The big thing with Mike Soroka is I think the Braves have given up on believing that he can stay on the field. He has struggled since being drafted. And I mean, the guy has a high ceiling on him. Calgary kid, Canadian boy. Love to see those Canadian ball players kind of get to the majors and make some noise. And he is a dude who was kind of slotted as a possible, like, I wouldn't say Cy Young, but high end of the rotation guy. Mm-hmm. And just hasn't been able to stay on the field in any sort of way. And his numbers last year did not look good.
Like, he was an opening day starter a couple of years ago.
Yes, he was.
So that gives you the idea of where the Braves viewed him on their depth chart too.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, can't stay on the field. Need to stay on the field. So.
And don't get me wrong, I think that the White Sox, if just looking at it, probably won this trade. But in the long run, the Braves are a better team because of it, right? Like, there weren't spots for these guys. It's not like this is a 5 position players from the Atlanta Braves. These are prospects and AAA guys that there wasn't a spot for. So they were able to take their depth and an area of strength and bolster an area of need in the bullpen with a guy that they obviously believe they can turn into a high leverage dude.
If you're a believer in Aaron Bummer, and if you think It was just bad luck. And if you think that 2019 and 2020 are a more realistic representation of the kind of pitcher he is, then yeah, I would say it's a win-win trade and a really well executed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the other side of it too is Mike Soroka, free agent at the end of next season.
Yep.
And if this is a guy that they didn't want to have to make a tough decision on and thought he's leaving anyways, yeah, I mean, it's
deep organization. Believe me, it's annoying to look at
Yeah.
the Braves and see them do this sort of move where they're just literally bundling guys up because they don't have a roster spot for them.
Yeah.
It's annoying, but
Yeah.
great job on their part to bolster an area they feel needed bolstering with a guy they obviously had targeted.
Mhm.
Who knows? Maybe it doesn't work out. We could look back on this and be like, wow, the White Sox completely fleeced them. But is it going to affect the Braves in 2024? I don't think it is one bit. Like, if anything, getting Aaron Bummer might actually improve the team. So we'll see.
I'm with you.
Okay, lots to talk about on today's show. We're going to get into the fact that the Blue Jays are being rumored as being in big on Matt Chapman. So the Chapman saga may not be over in Toronto. We'll dissect what that means and why this organization is kicking tires on a guy most in the fan base would rather see them just move on from.
I was gonna say, if that is the quote unquote Jeff Passan, Blue Jays looking to make a big move, I'm not anti Chapman. I would definitely say I'm higher on him than most in Toronto. Like, I was also okay if he had assigned the qualifying offer and we just had him for another year. I don't know that I want him for 6 years, but also,
and we'll get into that.
Okay, we'll get into that. So, but like, the fan base is going to lose its mind if that's the big move this offseason is, hey, we just signed Chapman $200 million over 7 years. They're going to fucking flip.
There's no way that, in fact, I don't wish to like get too into it because we are going to circle back on this. Here, let me just run down the rest of the topics.
Sure.
So that those who like to be teased,
I didn't realize we were still in the intro. It's 13 minutes in. I thought we were past the intro. I've been here 420 times. I should know better. Sorry.
So the
Welcome.
2025 All-Star Game, the 2025 All-Star Game has been announced, and even though there were rumors it could be going to Toronto, it is not. We'll get into that. Cal Quantrill, son of former Blue Jay, Paul Quantrill, Canadian kid, has been DFA'd by the Cleveland Guardians. The awards have been handed out around Major League Baseball: MVPs, Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and of course Cy Youngs. We'll talk that. Oakland, my goodness, dude, the soap opera continues there. One stop closer to heading to Vegas. It's still not 100%, but it's getting much, much closer with every passing day. And then finally, the Los Angeles Angels announced they are not rebuilding. Instead, they are going to be very aggressive in free agency. Buddy, the Angels are going to angel. Like, just.
Yep.
All right, so let's circle back on Matt Chapman and we can get right into it. Here is where I honestly believe the market is on Matt Chapman. It is not where the Scott Boras Corporation feels it's at. And I think with that becoming very apparent, they are circling back to the Blue Jays, who know the guy that Matt Chapman is. They know where he fits in the clubhouse. Things have always been stated that it's been very positive having Matt Chapman in that clubhouse and that he is well liked amongst the guys. And you know what? When you look around the third base free agent market, he is by far the best option. When you look around the trade market at available third baseman, I don't know if you're going to be able to get someone better than Matt Chapman. Is Nolan Arenado even available? Like, there are options out there, but how available are they? We don't know. And then if you look at internal options, there are some intriguing internal options within this Blue Jays organization, but you can't tell me there's not going to be growing pains going that route. And in a contention window of only the next year or two before some major decisions need to be made in Blue Jays land, I think Matt Chapman's a very safe bet if his market has hit a point where his term has become 3 years, 2 years, right? Like Matt Chapman may need to legitimately take a 2-year, $40 million, $50 million deal to rebuild his value, because no one truly believes that he's the guy that Scott Boras would like the market to believe he is.
I mean, we saw what he's capable of in April. Mm-hmm. The numbers when he was in Oakland were good. Offensively, he showed that 30-plus home run power stroke. Third base and first base are the power positions in the infield, right? You can get away with 12 home runs and a 270 batting average as a second baseman, but as a third baseman, we expect more.
Listen, he was really tough to watch at the plate this year, right? But he would have ended the year at like a 120 WRC plus had he not tried to fight through the finger injury. And we saw kind of the same thing happen with Cavan Biggio when he had the wrist injury, right? Just it's so hard as a hitter to work through these hand and wrist injuries and it not affect the power. And it affected Matt Chapman's power big time. Listen, in 2022, he had 27 home runs. In 2021, he had 27 home runs. Last year, only 17. That's a major dip in power. Forget about his batting average. I know he had a 240 batting average last year. His career high is 240. So he was right on par with where he normally is. Batting average for a dude like Matt Chapman is a little bit less relevant than the power numbers he's putting up.
Okay, if we're looking down a crystal ball of Matt Chapman is on this team for the next 3 years and he's giving us offensively numbers you'd be okay with from a second baseman, right? Like whatever your expectations are for Espinal or Biggio or Whit Merrifield, if you're getting that level of offense for Matt Chapman and he's playing third base, you're bummed out because you're like, oh, what an offensive hole at third base. That should be a guy who's booming. But if that means we bring up Addison Barger or Elvis Martinez and they're playing second instead of third, I don't know if Addison Barger is the offensive potential that some people feel he is, or Elvis Martinez for sure has the upside to be a 30 home run guy. And if he's doing it from second base, like when we have Marcus Semien at second base and you're like, oh, we have 48 home runs out of our second baseman. Like all of a sudden, that's all right. Like I'd rather Matt Chapman play. If Matt Chapman's on the team, I'd rather get the offense from second base and have good defense at third than have Matt Chapman play second base just so that we're okay with the offense we're getting from second and have Martinez or Elvis Martinez at third base, right? To get that same kind of power.
100%.
So like, who cares?
I do think
at that point.
I do think the caveat here too with bringing Matt Chapman back is that they would still need to address the offensive or the lack of offensive prowess in this lineup, right? Like I don't wish to see Matt Chapman being the bat they go out and get. Obviously, he has proved over the last 2 years he's not that guy. Now, Matt Chapman hitting in the 8 hole, sure.
If Matt Chapman is a Blue Jay next year, then yes, we need to sign a real DH.
Yes.
Right? Or someone from left field who's got 30 home run potential.
Yes. They need some.
And if that's the case, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with that. But yeah, Matt Chapman can't be the big move. If it's Matt Chapman plus Jorge Soler or whatever, JD Martinez to come in and DH and replace Brandon Belt, I'm I'm feeling better about it. I never liked the idea of rolling with one of our prospects or Kevin Biggio as our everyday third baseman. And there's not much out there for third baseman. So if we can get him on a short-term deal, I really like it. If it's a 6-year deal, I start to be uncomfortable and I have to talk myself into liking it. And I think I can get there. I think I can talk myself into being okay with him because the defense should age well.
I just can't see this organization buying into Matt Chapman for 6 years. I really do believe
young. He's only what, 30, 31?
He's 30. So
6 is the absolute max that I'd give him. And it would have to be, if we're talking like 115, 120 million, right? Like if we're giving him 25 million a year for 3 or 4 years, sure. And if he's less interested in the maximum AAV and just wants, he's like, this might be the last contract I get, I got to maximize the total dollars. Then I'd do like 6 years. Yeah. 115 to 120. Like if we can get the AAV under 20 million a year, I think again, I could talk myself into being okay with a Matt Chapman on the team till he's 36. But I'm really okay. It's a lot easier conversation to have with myself if it's a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal.
Yes or no? 2 years, 50 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love that deal. I almost love it because it just buys our prospects another year of development to like force the Jays into like trade Matt Chapman at the deadline because we've got Addison Barger who's played 20 games and looks like he can handle it, or like just defensively is legit or whatever, right? Like, yeah, 2-year Matt Chapman deal. I don't even care how much money we spend. I'm all over it.
And I could be completely out to lunch here. I don't know. Who knows where the Matt Chapman market is? And I think it's one of the more interesting storylines on the free agent market right now, just because of his lack of production at the plate over the last year and how he is valued defensively. Where does he fit into this third base market right now? But it is possible that it isn't the strongest market and it's not quite where Scott Boras Corp thought it would be at. And they may be looking to make more money on a shorter term deal and get back into the free agent market in a year or two. Listen,
what was the qualifying offer this year? 20.5?
I was just going to say it was 20.5. So I think to get him to go on a short term deal, you need to go a little bit higher.
21, 22, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, like maybe Matt Chapman is now a 3-year, $60 million guy. Who knows, man? The market's going to decide. Scott Boras can sit there and drag this market out if he'd like, and he can state that Chapman is worth $150 million. But if no one's going to pay him, it is irrelevant.
Yes or no? Matt Chapman, 1 year, $30 million.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if he can get 30 million for 1 year, but if I'm Matt Chapman, that's what I'm looking for.
Big time. Like you're overpaying big time, but I really do think there is some major benefits to elongating the development of some of these guys that are in the Blue Jays system who are kind of on the verge of being a third baseman in the future. The Damiano Palmagianis, the Aroldis Martinez, Addison Bargers, right? Like these are guys that are close, but giving them some leeway to develop in the big leagues a little bit and not be forced to be that guy at the hot corner constantly. I think there's a lot of value in that.
Totally. Whoever fills Matt
30
Chapman.
million's a lot. 30 million.
Well, okay, whatever. 25, 27, come up with whatever number you want. But I think if I'm Matt Chapman and the goal is rebuild value and roll the dice again, for the sooner he does it, the better. Like a 31-year-old Matt Chapman coming off of a 30 home run campaign with a Gold Glove, all of a sudden you're going, oh, that's 250, no brainer, right?
Like, can he Cody Bellinger his way back into this market?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think 1 year, I'd rather Matt Chapman for 1 year than 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want any Bo or Vlad years with a real question mark wild card anywhere in this lineup, really. Like, I don't want to be like, well, hopefully Damiano Parmigiani becomes a thing. You know, like, that's just whoever fills Matt Chapman's shoes at third. Whoever fills Matt Chapman's shoes at third for next season or whenever he is eventually gone is going to be measured against him defensively. Right? So, like, every error, every underthrown ball across the diamond is going to be like, oh, Matt Chapman would have had that.
Yep.
Fair or unfair, that's going to be the narrative. So whoever comes up, whether it's Parmigiani or Barger or Elvis Martinez, they either need to be so good offensively that we don't care that they had 27 errors, or they need to not have 27 errors. And that's a big ask from a rookie making the jump from AA or AAA. So on a contending team, right? Like, with a spotlight. It's one thing to do it with a non-contender in Cincinnati or whatever a couple years. You know, like, it's just
like, it's not exciting because I am so sick of watching Matt Chapman strike out in big moments. But the truth is, there's almost no way he's as bad as he was this year at the plate. Like,
it's true too. It's true too. Okay, well, there you go, Matt Chapman. Blue Jays are going big on him. Who knows?
Yeah. No, grounds crew, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you at on Matt Chapman? What deal would you feel comfortable with? Term, money? Let us know, and we'll hit this up again in mailbag on Tuesday and just kind of see where everyone's at.
It sure is interesting, though, how the narrative before the GM meetings was he's done. He's done in Toronto. Like, goodbye and good luck. And now it's, like you said, Boris must have had some talks and been like,
the market is softening on him, right? For it to have just been so cut and dry amongst MLB analysts that the Jays are moving on, and now all of a sudden they're back in. It just makes me think.
According to baseballrumors.com, the top 3 Matt Chapman destinations is the Diamondbacks, the Yankees, and the Blue Jays.
It all makes sense.
But I don't know the depth charts on those teams or the other teams well enough, but they might be going through a similar situation of like, wow, we got a guy who's close. Maybe we just promote him early rather than commit to Matt Chapman, because, like, we also don't want to log jam when we have a prospect who we like in the future.
It has worked out. It has worked out in the past, right? Like, look at Josh Jung with the Rangers, right? He's been excellent. And he was a rookie this year. But the hot corner with a rookie on a contending team, it's dicey. It's a risky move.
I say we bring back Brett Lawrie instead.
There you go. The demand. The Adam Mack demand for Lawrie.
Bring him back. Good Maple Ridge kid.
All right, so moving on. By
the way, you got comments on mailbag for saying Paxton is from Maple Ridge.
Oh.
Richmond.
Apologies.
It's one of those, it's Vancouver, but it's not Vancouver kind of towns. Right? Langley, they're all Vancouver. They're just not Vancouver. So I don't fault you for saying Maple Ridge.
Okay, well, thank you. As long as you're on board.
All right. So that's me explaining the Brett Lawrie joke of saying he's the Maple Ridge boy when he's from Langley. So there we go. Yeah. Full circle.
So yesterday, the Atlanta Braves were announced as the host for the 2025 Major League Baseball All-Star Game after 2021 game was moved over voting laws. So the Braves will host the 2025 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Commissioner Rob Manfred announced this yesterday, 2 years after the event was moved from Atlanta to Colorado following the passing of voting restrictions in Georgia. So this is a topic because there were so many rumors that the Blue Jays, Toronto was the other destination that was kind of up for grabs for that All-Star game. Now it is looking like the Blue Jays are now waiting for 2027, and they are probably the most likely to get it. So Atlanta had one in 2000, so they kind of jumped the line here because the Blue Jays last had an All-Star game back in 1991. So it has been 33 years since the Blue Jays have had an All-Star game. I know that I was lucky enough to be in Seattle this year and see the All-Star festivities and the home run derbies and stuff there. And it is incredible. It is such a great event. It's baseball nerdum to the max, right? Like you've got all of the displays out. They've got the stuff set up for the kids, right? Where there's like batting cages and just mini diamonds, and it was great. It was great. And I think that it would be really good for the city of Toronto. 2027 does look like it's going to be the year. They won't know until next year. They'll probably announce it this time next year as to what's going on in 2027. The Blue Jays, of course, the organization has put over $300 million worth of renovations, which should be done by April here this year, into the Rogers Center. And of course, Major League Baseball loves to put on display new stadiums or newly renovated stadiums, which obviously moves the Rogers Center to kind of the front of the line here for the next All-Star game to be announced. It would be cool for the city. It's too bad that 2025 is going to Atlanta, but I mean, we kind of saw that all coming.
For anybody curious, the All-Star game this season, 2024, is in Texas. And in 2026 is in Philadelphia. So, here's a fun article from MLB.com, July 5th, 2023. Let's predict the 2028 All-Star lineups. I won't read all of these, but catcher, Adley Rutschman. All right, that's an easy one. First base, Vlad Jr. There you go, Toronto fans. Be excited.
Hey.
2028, that's our year.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's not Vlad with the Red Sox or something insane.
Don't even say it. At shortstop, they have Wander Franco. So this article hasn't aged well.
That's
so
wrong.
we probably don't need to keep reading that.
That's too funny. So this is kind of interesting. It definitely caught my eye when I saw that the Cleveland Guardians designated for assignment Cal Quantrill, who was obviously a mainstay in their starting rotation just 1 year ago in 2022. After an injury-marred 2023 campaign, the Cleveland Guardians have DFA'd Canadian pitcher Cal Quantrill for assignment on Tuesday night.
He's from Maple Ridge, I think. Sorry. I'm a shit.
He's the son of former Blue Jay Paul Quantrill. Quantrill spent 2 separate stints on the injured list with a shoulder injury that limited him to just 19 starts and 99 innings pitched. The 28-year-old struggled to find his form on the field and pitched to a 5.24 ERA while striking out just 58 hitters. So his 2022 season was much better. He's projected to make about $6.5 million in arbitration this year, which is why the Guardians probably DFA'd him, is because they are cheap and it just makes more sense to take a risk on. And they've got a deep prospect pool of pitchers, so it just makes sense. So my question is, does Cal Quantrill, Canadian, his dad has ties to the Blue Jays, does he make sense as a low risk depth move on this Blue Jays team? What do you think, Mr. Mac?
I mean, yeah, as a number 5 starter,
yeah, obviously.
I love it. I mean, even with the numbers he put up last year, I mean, you could do with a better ERA, but I mean, if that's injury issues,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's only 29 years old. The rest of the baseball card looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And he's free.
cur-
Like,
cur-
I mean, outside of paying his arbitration year.
career numbers, so everything minus last year, 3.54 ERA. Strikeouts per 9, 7.1, a little lower than you'd like to see, but walks per 9, 2.5. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And a whip of 1.219. So ERA plus 115. Look, he's an above average starting pitcher coming off of a bad season. I would sure throw $6 million at Cal Quantrill and be like, roll the dice. Let's see what happens. Maybe you don't even make the team. I don't know. Whatever.
I feel the same way. And you know what? If you've got Cal Quantrill and Alek Manoah in the minor leagues with Ricky Tiedemann pushing, I mean, there's some actual depth.
Something we didn't have last year for sure.
Starting pitching lacked, exactly.
Yeah, don't have to give any prospects or nothing to trade for him. So, I mean, if you told me that the Blue Jays traded for Cal Quantrill, I'd be like, ugh, who did we give up?
Yeah.
You know, you start to go, ugh. But if it's just money and it's not my money, then... And I don't think that signing him for $6 million for one final season of arbitration,
mm-hmm.
that's not the kind of money that prevents us from signing anybody else.
No, 100%.
So that's why I'm like, go for it, right? Like if that means we're out on Shohei Ohtani, then okay. But
yeah, that's the thing, right? Is $6 million, if that's what's going to take you out of the Shohei sweepstakes, you were never really in the Shohei sweepstakes.
Like $100 million for Matt Chapman might take you out of the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes.
That might take you out.
But
yeah.
Can we just talk Shohei Ohtani and can we cross him off the list? Are you willing to do that? Because I would love to.
Do you mean just have him sign already?
No, just like, sorry, maybe I should phrase this the other way. Could we cross the Blue Jays off of the potential suitors for Shohei Ohtani list? Like, it feels absurd to me. I can't see a scenario in which he signs with the Blue Jays.
I don't know.
You think we might?
I'm trying to keep my hope. I'm trying to keep my hopes. Like, listen, I'm well aware of the games all of the agents are playing right now. And I mean, sports media, it's all about the clicks. And yes, obviously Toronto's a big enough market that they are throwing their name in there because the clicks definitely play big with the Toronto fan base. I've said this all along. I give it a 1% chance the Blue Jays
way too
land
generous.
Shohei Ohtani. Well, that's
oh man, fair. I just don't want to miss out on any other moves, not even one, because we were like maybe holding out for Shohei Ohtani. Like, it's just have a little bit of dignity, recognize you're not a 10, that you're a 7, and there's nothing wrong with dating other 7s, but that the 10 is only even flirting with you to make the other people jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's delusional to think that Shohei Ohtani is coming to Toronto. Like, we would have to overpay so much money. So much money. Like, what do they say? The Toronto tax of it all? Like, I mean, in a literal sense, yes, but also just in a, like, it's Toronto. Like, we have to overpay for George Springer. We have to overpay for everyone. It's either add another year to the deal or add 20% to the dollar amount. Do you know what 20% is on $500 million? If Shohei gets $500 million, it's another $100 million.
Oh, you're gonna test my math now. Sure, throw me under the bus.
I made it nice round numbers. Okay, it's another $100 million. Yes. So it's like, but I mean, this is where I think it's easy to tell yourself, well, I've heard some people say that Shohei's going to get $600 million. Why not get $600 million from us? Well, it's because if Shohei's getting a $600 million deal offered from anyone, we have to offer $700 million. Like, we have to outbid the next team by $100 million just to negate, like, tax issues versus.
I am so done with your logic right now, buddy. Like, take your logic and stuff it in a sack. I just don't want to hear it.
I'll stick it in a sack with my stories. My stories and my logic, stuff them in a sack.
Can we start using the term John Schneidered instead of throwing under the bus?
John Schneidered as a verb. Okay, who got John Schneidered now?
I just got John Schneidered, and then you got thrown under the bus.
I like it. What's bringing this back up? Who got John Schneidered?
Nobody.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I was just talking about, I forget why I used that term, but I just did it 30 seconds ago. It doesn't matter.
Did you?
But I do like the idea of like.
We were talking Shohei Ohtani. You said John Schneidered?
No, I said thrown under the bus.
Who got thrown under the bus?
I don't know, Adam. This is what I'm saying. I said it like 45 seconds ago, and I don't remember exactly what I was talking about. But
oh, I wish I was in the audience right now so I could rewind. Everybody that's watching is like, you
oh,
guys are both idiots.
idiots.
He said it about blah, blah, blah.
You'd think after 420 episodes, you guys would have a feel for each other. No. All right. Awards handed out. Let's get into it because it's funny. Let's start with the manager of the years, because we both thought for sure Bruce Bochy would win the American League manager of the year. And I think that we got a little clouded in the World Series win. And you're not even supposed to count the playoffs. We're all well aware this is the regular season awards. They make it very apparent every time that they name the winners. And Bruce Bochy had an excellent season with the Rangers, obviously really turned that team around from their 2022 showing. However, not quite enough to knock off Brandon Hyde of the Baltimore Orioles, who did wind up winning the American League Manager of the Year, taking the Baltimore Orioles from around a 500 team in 2022 to division champions and a 100-win team in 2023. Very impressive. So big congrats to Brandon Hyde. And then we were kind of thinking that maybe Craig Counsell would take the NL Manager of the Year. Both of us kind of put our eggs in that basket. And Skip Schumacher of the Miami Marlins wound up winning it. The Marlins had an incredible season last year, making the playoffs for the first time in years. So Skip Schumacher with the win there. Now, going to the Rookie of the Year, panned out exactly like everyone thought it would. It was unanimous right across the board. Gunnar Henderson, Rookie of the Year in the American League, and then Corbin Carroll in the National League. No surprise there. Both of them 30 first place votes each. So same with MVP. I mean, no surprises there, right? Unanimous right across the board. Shohei Ohtani in the American League, Ronald Acuna Jr. in the National League. And then Cy Young, same thing with Garrett Cole and Blake Snell, pretty much unanimous right across the board. I think Snell didn't get all of the first place votes, but was pretty darn close. So yeah, things kind of worked out exactly like everyone thought it would. There were no real surprises, except for maybe Manager of the Year was still a little bit up in the air. And yeah. Do you care about the awards? I know I asked you this last time. It's
no, not
like,
even
unless it's a Blue Jay. Like, it's cool if a Blue Jay wins an award, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got excited for Vlad winning a Gold Glove the other year.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, I think that was just my love for Vladdy. Like, Chapman won a Gold Glove this year. I could care less.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know.
Gary Gossman finishing third in Cy Young voting in the AL. We know it's Kevin, by the way, everybody.
Yes. I've been told it is Kevin.
Okay, so let's just jump right into this Oakland saga.
Okay.
So, first of all, before we even get into this, I thought it was absolutely hilarious that the owner of the Oakland Athletics, John Fisher, in a press conference came out and said that he felt he had it as bad as anyone when it comes to the last year. He literally, exact words was, "I have it worse than all of you." Like, imagine the billionaire owner who is moving the franchise out of Oakland completely because it just makes more money in Las Vegas. Like, don't forget that, right? That this is not about the A's not being able to figure it out. It's that Oakland won't just build a new stadium for free for this billionaire like Las Vegas will. So pretty frustrating for Oakland fans. This is such a storied franchise. It just is a shame. Like, there's no other way of putting it. And feel free to leave your comments here for those of you in the grounds crew, how you feel about Oakland leaving for Las Vegas. It's not 100%, but it did get much closer. MLB owners unanimously voted to allow the Oakland Athletics to move to Las Vegas, paving the way for the second relocation of the A's in the last half century. Where will they play? So this is where it gets kind of interesting, because the lease on the Oakland Coliseum is up at the end of 2024. They're not going to be ready to move to their new stadium in Las Vegas until 2028, which makes them a floating franchise for literally 3 years. Think about how difficult it was for the Blue Jays in 2021 when they had to move from Dunedin to Buffalo to Rogers Center. Think about the toll that took on the players. And now the Oakland Athletics in a
It might cost them a playoff
year,
spot.
well, but it's definitely going to make it so that they continue to be a AAA team, right? Like, who's going to wish to sign even fringe guys? Who wishes to live like that? Now, the rumors are that they'll be sharing the park a little bit with the Giants at Oracle, playing some games there. They're going to be playing at the Aviators, Las Vegas Aviators Stadium, which is the AAA team there. Now, I've been to the Aviator Stadium. It is a beautiful little park, but it sits about 6,000, and it's open air. I just don't understand. They're going to move this Oakland Athletics team to the desert to play in a stadium for a minor league team with no roof.
So,
by the way,
okay,
is it for sure? Go ahead, here, Adam.
Just what with the idea of them playing in Las Vegas and in San Francisco, their TV deal is contingent on them playing in Oakland, which is one thing I've heard pointed out. So,
wow.
Well, I mean, can you imagine trying to sell ad spots if you're the broadcaster? Be like, oh, hey, let's get Bob's car dealership down in Oakland to buy advertising spots for a team that is more than 1 foot out the door and not even playing in Oakland. Like, who in Oakland is tuning in to an Oakland A's broadcast for the next 3 seasons?
Like, nobody. Why would you?
Right. So, I mean, that's the TV deal is worth $68 million. So that's a big chunk of change for a team with a payroll of less than half of that. I don't know. I've also heard stories of, could Oakland get an expansion team? That's what the mayor of Oakland is already saying. Mm-hmm. Hey, if they're gone, give us a new team. Like, we still have fans that want a baseball team. And is Oakland a good sports town?
I don't know the answer to that question, but they do keep losing their teams.
This is the third pro sports team they've lost in 5 years. NBA, NFL, and now MLB. All leaving. Like, so what? I don't know. It's I feel for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
and at the same time, like, so this is since John Fisher bought the A's in 2005. their year-end payrolls have ranked out of 30 major league teams. So 2005, 19, 2006, 19, 2007, 18. From 2008 to 2013, the highest that they, sorry, from 2008 till 2023, the highest they rank is 23rd twice, 24th once, and every other time it's 27th or less. So like they've been the 30th payroll the last 3 years in a row, and it has been right around there since pretty much 2005. They constantly produce top end talent. They constantly develop stars, and they constantly lose them because they lack the it's funny because I don't want to say they lack the ability to sign these guys. They don't. This is a major league franchise that obviously has money, but they just refuse to pay it. I don't know, man. It's just like such a mess there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's to blame.
I mean, John Fisher's to blame. Major League Baseball's to blame.
Do the Oakland fans bear any blame?
Sure. Maybe not. That's a tough question to answer, dude, because the fans have come out and supported that team when they win. Like when they were going to the wild card games, they were packing that Coliseum. That rat infested, falling apart Coliseum. Like
Yeah, I'd be interested to see. I don't know if I can pull this up quickly. Average attendance by year. I mean, you did the payroll by year. I'm just quickly scrolling. 2023 dead last. 2022 dead last. 2021 second last. They were ahead of the Marlins. 2020 they were tied for first with 0. Oakland was in 24th in 2019. When was the last time they were good and went to the playoffs?
I think it was 2019, actually.
2019. Okay, so they were still only 24th in attendance.
Right. Yeah.
29th the year before. It's just.
See, it's funny because it is a weird question to need to answer because there are so many factors in this, right? Like, yeah, you can blame the crowd, but also that stadium is pretty ragged, man. Like it could have used, it hasn't even been updated. Like it hasn't even been renoed in decades. So I don't know, man, if it's just like not a good fan experience, is it the fans' fault? I don't know. Like I like to think that if, let's say, Calgary had a team, that I would go no matter what.
Right.
But maybe not. Like maybe if it's just an uncomfortable place, you'd rather just watch it on TV. They have fans.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they have a long history in Oakland, 55 years, I think, but it's tough to point blame in a situation like this. I will say hold on. I'm looking. This is a terrible list. Hold on. Sorry, I'm looking up MLB TV contracts. But this is not sorted in any sort of useful way. It's not alphabetical. It's not by.
Okay, well,
this is not. This is great listening, I'm sure. I'll look it up for next week, but I just mean if they're not going to the game, are they getting a mega, like, is 67 million for a TV contract? Is that a lot? I don't know. Like, is it on the high end or the low end? Because if they're not going to games, but they're still watching them, then the TV deal should be through the roof, right? It should be like, hey, we have the best at-home audience in baseball. So if that's the case, But are people even watching A's games from home? That's all my question is. I don't know.
Yeah.
If they are, the TV deal should match. It should be like an exceptionally high TV deal that really stands out. And if we're just going to blame it on the stadium, I don't know, man.
So is it for sure? That's the thing. Everyone's acting like this is a done deal, and it is definitely one step closer with this unanimous vote of the owners to move the franchise from Oakland to Las Vegas. But no, there are still more hoops to jump through. There's still more steps to figure out. Do they have one foot out? Yes. Is this most likely going to happen? Yeah, because Major League Baseball sees Vegas as a very attractive market to be in. And of course, they're going to do all they can to get their eggs in that basket. But David Sampson, friend of the show and a great podcast, Nothing Personal, has been saying this for months now, since it was announced that, like, until it's done, it's not done. These deals fall apart all the time. Of course, David Sampson, a lawyer, and has worked in the front office of both the Expos and the Marlins, and is well versed in the back end details of some of these business transactions. So is there still hope for Oakland? Maybe a sliver, but it is it's fading every day. On a more happy note, though, the Milwaukee Brewers will stay in Milwaukee through 2050 after Wisconsin lawmakers approved a renovations to American Family Field. This happened just yesterday. Of course,
nice.
ownership was putting the screws to the city of Milwaukee to invest in a new stadium or invest in the current stadium. And
pretty sure the conversation went like this: if you don't approve this, we're moving to Oakland.
Their mayor has stated they will build a brand new facility.
Yeah. No, it's good for the Brewers. Happy for them. That's good.
Exactly. Okay, so we are long in the tooth. We'll wrap up on this. Just the fact that the Los Angeles Angels, their stud pitcher DH is a free agent. Shohei Ohtani, obviously the biggest fish in the pond of the free agent market. Are they still a destination for them? I mean, they like to think so. They stated they are not rebuilding. They are not retooling. In fact, they are going to be very aggressive in this offseason's free agency and in the trade market. I think part of it has to do with the fact Mike Trout, they want to keep him happy.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, like, how many times can the Angels continue to do this? Like, man, this is a stat I saw yesterday. So the Angels have won 50% of the American League MVPs in the past decade.
Yeah.
They have one playoff appearance in that.
That's crazy.
I mean, I understand the idea of being a big market team in a large market, and you don't wish to upset the fan base by rebuilding, because a rebuild sucks to go through.
But I just,
But you know what sucks even more than a rebuild, buddy, is being in the same rung as all the teams that are rebuilding, but paying $100 million to do that.
That's true. I mean, it will be a tough pill to swallow, but if they were to actually trade Mike Trout, they could get at least 4 AAA prospects and Aaron Bummer.
Yeah.
At least. Am I saying, look, hot take, am I saying Mike Trout is better than Mike Soroka? Yeah. I'll say it. I'll stake my name to that.
That is a hot take. The hottest take around. All right. Let's wrap up there. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate it. Feel free to follow us on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Walk Off Podcast, on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast, and tip of the hat to all of you Patreon out there. We really appreciate the support, and we will.
We actually, by the way, have real, like, value for people who are interested in the Patreon. It used to
Yeah.
be like, support us on Patreon just because you like us. And it's a charitable donation. It's a tax write-off at the end of the year. We actually have bonus episodes, content, lots of stuff going on now more than ever. So there you go.
Absolutely.
Patreon.com/The Walk-Off Podcast.
Thank you so much, everybody. Take care of yourselves. See you Tuesday.
Cheers.